6 rebounds a game, 54 blocks. A no doubt great player for the Sun Belt.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's starting lineup to see Johnathan Gant right there in the middle. 4 of their 5 big transfers in the starting lineup. They're not shy about their strategy.
No, the only guy in the middle there, by the way, Washington, 1,000 points, 1,000 rebounds already, too.
And the one big change in Southern's lineup tonight, Jake Alsmiller not starting. Their big three-point shooter, the number 4 3.3 shooter in the Sun Belt. He's off. He's been replaced by the redshirt freshman guard, number 13 right there, Quan Jackson.
Gonna go smaller, quicker by the time they're done. See how they match up with Agent Cajuns from there. Alsmiller's going to give him length off the bench, though. We'll see how this works out. If he can get hot off the bench, Alsmiller will be key.
As you can see in Hanner Fieldhouse tonight, it is Pink Out Night to support breast cancer awareness. Number 3 team in the Sun Belt versus number 1. And we are underway from Statesboro. Johnathan Gant, the Effingham County High School star, wins the tip for ULL. And we are underway from Statesboro. Down the lane goes Marcus Stroman, and it's stolen away on the first possession by Quan Jackson. Not a bad start for his first start of the year. And the redshirt freshman slows down the offense to begin it. And outside now to Mike Hughes. He's been big the last couple of games, more than 20 over the last 2. And Southern resets. Here's Ike Smith. Down the lane, the floater is good for Ike. And Andrew, it is great to see him looking like himself. 34 points in the last 2 games.
I truly believe he's going to be the key to this game. He matches up well with what they're doing. If he can shoot and shoot well, they're going to be in great shape for this one.
And a little surprised to see him take this long to get back to himself because he was injured for much of the year. But like we said, the last couple of games, it's been a re-coming out party. That one a foul on the post against Johnathan Gant, and it's going back Southern's way.
You're going to like that too. Ike's going to have to deal with the height on that one. Gant's about 6'8". Looks like Ike's going to face up with him. That gives Glenn a chance to pick up those rebounds on the inside instead.
So right off the top, the Cajuns go into a full court press defense that is Stroman and Frank Bartley in the backcourt, going up against Tukey Brown.
I want to watch that Stroman-Brown matchup all day. Stroman likes to dish it off more than anything. Had 16 assists in his last game. Brown's going to score a lot.
Back outside to Smith. And he's got the first 5 points for Southern. Led the Sun Belt Conference in scoring last year, and he's hot right now. It is stolen away by Quan Jackson. Goes up and gets the 2 shots at the line.
Great play by Quan for 2 reasons. 1, you get the bucket, you get the chance at the free throw line. 2, that's 2 fouls on Johnathan Gant already.
So a chance for Southern here to get out to a 7-0 lead to begin this game. That is the second foul already on Johnathan Gant. And Quan hits number 1.
Mark that time down too. 18:46 is when he gets the second foul. See how long he sits on the bench. It could be for the entire first half, depending on how much he's trusted.
It clanks it, so a 6-0 start to this game for Georgia Southern. And I got to say, Andrew, that's bad news for the Cajuns, sending Gant to the bench that early, because not only is he a star here, people came to see him play, but 15 points a game, he's huge for them. That one clanks off the front iron, yanked down by Tukey.
It couldn't ask for more for the Eagles right now. Get on to a hot start, get their big guy on the bench, take a big lead would be nice on this one.
Tukey hasn't taken a shot yet, been distributing here in the opening 2 minutes. Tukey down the lane, outside to Jackson. And Tukey able to keep it in the front court. Now they got to get a play going. 10 to shoot. Tukey beats the entire defense, but gets fouled in the process. 2 coming up for the junior from Madison, Georgia.
That's Justin Miller, who came in for Gant. So already that position, they seem to be focusing on that. They did a great job in getting Gant out. Now Miller already with his first foul.
So Tukey Brown with 2 shots at the line. So far this season, Georgia Southern's leading scorer, 18.5 points a game. But Andrew, part of the reason they lost and got upset by Monroe on Thursday was that he was held to 7 points.
Yeah, as this team goes, Tukey goes. That's the key for the entire season for him. That's why it's great to see Ike off to a great start. Obviously, last year's leading scorer, he may be able to pick up some of that slack in case Tukey doesn't have a great game.
Tukey clanks both, but it's yanked down by Quan Jackson. Mike Hughes from downtown came up just a little bit long. That would have blown the roof off of Hanner. Now this is Malik Marchetti. He drives to the basket, and Mike Smith throws it off Marchetti. Let's see who keeps possession here. They'll give it back to Lafayette, but I'll tell you, it looked like he got that off of him in time.
I thought he did too on that one. Let's look at the replay on this, but actually it hit Ike on the rebound, maybe the answer, but it still sure looked like it hit him right in the face on that, so bad call to me.
So already a couple subs coming in here for the Cajuns. Coming off the bench the first time, Johnathan Stove, as well as Bryce Washington. And a whole new shot clock here for the Cajuns, still trying to get on the board more than 2 minutes into this game. And this is Frank Bartley running the offense up top, the BYU transfer. And now here he goes, Bartley for three, hit. There's a foul on the play. The shot does not go, but it looks like he'll get three at the line.
Got to get Tukey careful on this because Bartley's going to take full advantage of this, of Gant being out. You know he is the main offensive option, 16 points a game already this year.
Not only their main option on the floor, also leads the Sun Belt Conference in free throw percentage. He's an 86% shooter from the line.
It's an undisclosed weapon at that point. If you can get to the line and hit all those shots, we just watched Tukey miss two. We could be in a complete swing here of a 4-point swing in just early stages.
All right, so that's the first point of the game for Louisiana. 6-1 start to this game for Southern officially. Bartley hits two of his first three.
And we'll have to see. Cajuns have made two subs already. They've moved in some players that they don't always play, especially this early. They may be playing 8 tops usually, so they've already exhausted that bench up and down.
Bartley gets all three. Andrew, maybe the least surprising thing about him is not only is their leading scorer, 16.5 points a game, he's a pure shooter. No surprise he transferred in from BYU.
No, they love their shooters at BYU. And this has been a great move for Louisiana to pull some of these guys in because they just didn't have the overall system there.
Quan Jackson knocks it down. 9-3 start to the game for Southern. And that is why they started him tonight instead of Jake Alsmiller.
Yeah, if anybody wants to question that, it's not going to be us after this start for Quan Jackson.
Stroman kicks outside, three on the way. And a response, a good one from Louisiana. That is Johnathan Stove. He just came in off the bench.
Yeah, he's had double figures the last 3 games, so he's getting more and more time as the season's gone on for Louisiana.
Tukey down the lane, goes himself again, and he'll get a... And they'll call that one a charge on Tukey. They say his legs were set.
That's going to be tough, too. Now you've got Tukey Brown, who's going to have to go to the bench with 2 fouls as well. Gant on the bench, Brown on the bench. We're going to see how Georgia Southern responds to this. And I don't like the way he's holding his arm either after he went down hard.
Checking in, David Lee Jones, the sophomore guard out of Tampa, Florida. This is the first year he's actually gotten any legitimate playing time, though. And we've been talking so much already about the transfers for Louisiana. David Lee Jones, the one notable transfer for Southern, although he didn't come from a big-time program. He came in from Santa Fe College. Down low, the shot good, no foul on the play. And that went in from Davis.
Yeah, there's no question. They've got some moves inside. They put up about 84 points a game, so they like to get up and down. Georgia Southern's going to have to figure out what tempo they want to play at.
Foul on the floor. That one will go against Louisiana. That is against Davis, who just put up that shot. Already 4 team fouls here against Louisiana. Not even 4 minutes into this game. They're going to be very careful headed down the home stretch of the first half.
This is really good news, Georgia Southern. They are going to have to hit those free throws, though, especially when they get into the bonus to take advantage of those free shots that they have at the line.
So Georgia Southern a 6-1 start to the game. Here's Ike. He already hit a 3. That time comes up short, and it's yanked down by Bartley. And now they'll push it.
Fine line for Ike. Don't bomb it, but be the leading man out there with Tukey on the bench.
Bartley in the corner against Quan Jackson. Trying to take advantage of the young redshirt freshman. Stroman outside to Stove. He already hit a 3. That one just a little bit long, and Monte Glenn on the rebound. They'll push him as he went down, and that will take us into our first timeout of the game. A 6-1 start for Georgia Southern. They are still ahead after about 4 minutes. 9-8 the score, and Ike Smith is red hot. Went to Effingham County. You're saying, well, where is he? He was in for about 2 minutes. Actually, less than 2 minutes. He got 2 fouls right off the top, so I assume we'll see him riding the bench for most of the first half. And David Lee Jones gets the inbound, and Ike Smith follows him, and Let's get started about 4 minutes into this game. See if Southern can respond to the response run by UL.
Coy Simmons in this one too. I think he's going to have a big game for them to try to deflate some of the size they have inside.
Mike Hughes beats the whole defense, but aimed it just a little bit off to the left. And now numbers for the Cajuns. And they'll slow it down, tipped away, and here comes Ike the other way. He'll go the whole way and throw it down. Already 7 of the first 11 points for Southern from the junior shooting guard.
Ike does like the fact we've been talking about people other than him so far on and off his own team, so he's ready to play today.
And in response, there goes Johnathan Stove, averaging about 10 points a game, and already he's got 5.
Yeah, he's been hot the last 3. We're going to see what they can do to calm him down. They got to play some defense on him. There are too many scorers on that side.
Another missed layup for Southern, that one from David Lee Jones. And here comes Stroman. That one nearly rejected, but the putback is there from Stove. 7 quick points for him.
Yeah, Georgia Southern got to watch out in transition. They love to get up and down the floor.
And the Cajuns, after a 6-1 hole to start this game, they take the lead on Southern. It's 12-11, and they got back in this thing right away. Ike pushed him off with his forearm. He shivved him. That one's going against Southern.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was a fairly obvious call there. You could see his elbow push, and once you see the elbow outstretched, it's going to be an automatic for the refs.
All right, first foul against Ike Smith. 3 so far against Southern here in the first half, and already 5 against Louisiana. Couple subs into this game for Southern coming off the timeout. Jake Alsmiller enters the game, their red-hot three-point shooter. Not in the starting lineup today. That's pretty surprising, but he is still, Andrew, the number 4 three-point shooter in the conference.
I want to see how he responds to being benched today. It's going to be a move by Byington to see, was it the good move or was it the one that's going to cost him?
So this is Stroman, another one of their numerous transfers. He came in from South Carolina. Not surprising he chose that out of college. He was born in Columbia. Up and under play there for Bryce Washington, his second team all-conference forward. First time we've seen him score today. Yeah, B.J. Gladden in the game hasn't been playing much, only 4 or 5 minutes a game lately, so it's interesting he's in so early. And here is B.J. working out top. Spins to the rack, and it's rejected by Washington. And here comes Stroman to the basket. Got it for 2, and that was Frank Bartley, their leading scorer. And that'll send Southern into a quick timeout. Andrew, right call. Yeah, absolutely. You got to stop this run as it started out here. Georgia Southern, he's scored 34 points in the last 2 games.
Yeah, Ike's been the man so far for them, and he needs to be with Tukey Brown on the bench potentially for the rest of the half. So it'll be very interesting to see how he balances that out in the scoring leader without going over the top with it. All right, no subs off the bench here for Georgia Southern after the timeout that Mark Byington called. Both Ike and Tukey on the bench, so Mike Hughes here with the ball needs to step up, their 3rd leading scorer this year. Down low to Coy Simmons. Really in there is more of his rebounder and distributor. Here's David Lee Jones. He's in there to be a shooter, though. And Southern's got it back within 2 points. Yeah, this is not a 2-man game on either side, so everybody's going to have to play and play well. And David Lee Jones hitting that early will do nothing but improve his confidence. So Stroman running the offense. The South Carolina transfer down low to Bryce Washington. That one tipped, fouled, and goes in. It'll be an and-one opportunity. They're calling that on Coy Simmons. Yeah, Washington's a top player himself, the only homegrown guy from this Louisiana roster so far. As we talked about earlier, 1,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, only the 4th guy in Sun Belt history to do it. Really getting overshadowed compared to some of his teammates right now. So one shot coming to the line here from Washington, the one player on this Louisiana roster from New Orleans. Clanks it, yanked down by Monte Glenn. Have not seen Monte much so far tonight. He needs an improved presence down low to play against Justin Miller. Here's Gladden. Hughes with a little space and didn't feel confident pulling the trigger. 15 to shoot. Jump stop outside to Jones. He just hit a 3. Now Southern all out of sorts. Alsmiller. He's got it! And he got rid of his yips last game. He hit 4 threes, and he hits his first tonight. This is why you're a good coach. You figure out what you need to do to motivate your players. That's the first shot for Jake to see how motivated he really is coming off the bench. Alsmiller getting rid of his yips is just what this team needs in this weekend, Andrew. And that's going to be waved off before the shot went up. They'll call that against Southern. It'll just be an inbound play. It's an interesting call because they really have been letting him play. I'm going to see this as the game goes on. This has been a pretty high-contact game considering all the fouls they're not calling, so it'll be interesting to see how it runs the rest of the way through.
So Cedric Russell checks in for the first time as they send their leading scorer, Frank Bartley, off to the bench. 5 fouls for both teams here, not even halfway through the first half. Outside to Stove, goes to the lane again, he's got it, plus he'll get the and one. Nope, late call from the referees, they change it, it's going back, and that'll be a charge.
Oh no, they changed
they call it back again. And now they're saying against Southern, if that's the case, it will be an and one.
I guess they're saying he was inside the circle when he took that charge, which you're not allowed to do. Seemed like they changed that call twice. However, in the meantime, I'm not exactly sure what's happening here, but didn't seem like the right call there. They need to get on the right page, too.
Mark Byington over on the sideline arguing with the referees about that.
That replay definitely shows that Glenn was outside that circle, so I'm not exactly sure what that call was. It was a bad one from what it looks like.
So this is Johnathan Stove for one shot at the line, the and one possibility. And he's got it. So far, Louisiana 4 for 5 from the free throw line.
Stowe has 10 points already in just 7.5 minutes worth of work here, so very interesting.
Jones outside to Jake, a second three. Nah, just came up a little bit to the right.
But I like the fact it was a good shot in rhythm, so I'm glad he's out there taking him, not afraid.
So this is Cedric Russell running the offense. First time he's gotten any playing time tonight. Big local guy for them. Very few of the local guys on this roster, but he was ranked top 5 in the state of Louisiana coming out of high school by ESPN. And there's Justin Miller on the turnaround.
He's a big guy, big body. That's going to be interesting to see how they match up with Simmons and Gladden and Glenn. All three are going to have to rotate through on some of these big guys they have.
Now, for what it's worth, the reason Southern's given up the lead here is because they've only got a handful of starters in this lineup. David Lee Jones, shot long, yanked down by Monte Glenn. There's a foul on the rebound, and that should be against Malik Marchetti, and it is. That'll take us to a timeout. Southern still behind against Louisiana, 23-17, but their starters
for them thus far that they need to find an answer to what he's been doing.
Well, the good news for Southern, their 2 star players back in, Ike Smith and Tukey Brown off the bench. But don't forget, Tukey's already got a couple of fouls against him. 2 to be exact. Here's Ike. He's already got 7 points. They'll wave that shot off. And they'll say it was a foul before the shot.
You do have to wonder a little bit of desperation early. With 11 minutes still left in the first half, you're willing to put Tukey Brown back in the game. I think it's going to be offense, defense. They figured they could get a little bit out of him. But I think what you're looking at is Byington trying to spark the team a little bit as they go along.
And after just 10 seconds in the game out of the timeout, Tukey goes back to the bench and replaced by David Lee Jones. Good news is, though, Andrew, he already got a 3.
That's good, so we like that.
Ike Smith gets the first of the 1-and-1.
Yeah, if there's any hole in Ike's game, and maybe free throw shooting at this point, he's only shooting about 47%, but it'd be nice to see him get back in the rhythm here.
Sinks both, and all of a sudden it's back to a 4-point game. That's exactly what Southern needed on that possession. So Louisiana keeping a couple of their bench players in here, like Cedric Russell, their backup point guard. They've still got Stroman over on the bench. Malik Marchetti running the offense against Alsmiller. Those two are about the same size, 6'6" against 6'5". That'll be a good matchup for Southern tonight, because Jake is one of their best defenders. And now he's guarding him. Outside to Stove. And only 5 on the shot clock here for UL. Stove goes and is rejected. His putback opportunity no good. There was a foul. I think that was against Sean O'Connell. And it was, the number 11.
Yeah, it's not good either way on the inside. O'Connell came in, though. He gives them good energy when you're playing like that. Good block by Monte Glenn on the inside. What this lead for Louisiana does, too, it allows him to keep Gant on the bench. That means he can't pick up a 3rd foul, and he'll be ready to go by the time they do put him in, probably beginning second half.
Washington for the first. Misses the front end of the 1-and-1, and Monte Glenn the rebound. Ike looking a little bit hungry. Not liking the look of his face as he drives here. Aggressive drive to the basket. And he'll get 2.
That's good news for Ike also. That's the 2nd foul on Stove, who's been white hot, so that's not a bad thing at all for them right now. Ike is aggressive. This is what they need him to be. Now let's get everybody else involved on this. Alsmiller picked up that other foul, by the way, which means he's got 2, and he's going to have to go back to the bench.
Southern already in foul trouble because it's really spread out. It'd be one thing if it was just one guy who had 3 or 4 fouls, but if everyone has 2, that's even worse. Ike to the line and hits the first.
And what you don't like is Tukey Brown, great three-point shooter. You need his offense. Jake Allsmiller, great three-point shooter. You need his offense out there. Now you're counting on some guys who don't necessarily shoot that much. Mike Hughes is really going to have to step in. He's not even on the court right now, so it's going to be interesting to see where they get the offense from other than Ike.
The only 2 quote-unquote shooters in this lineup right now, Ike Smith and David Lee Jones.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Sean O'Connell, really not an offensive threat. Monte Glenn, really inside only, and they've got enough size to block him there.
And Monte's been kind of quieted so far by guarding Bryce Washington. Foul already. I believe that was against O'Connell for the second time in a minute.
It's be very interesting to see how this is going on because the refs really let him play early on, and now they've cut back a lot, and they're calling a lot of touch fouls.
My mistake, that will go against Monte Glenn, and good news for Southern, that is just his first.
Well, we appreciate that. That's good news because we need Glenn on the court right now. He's banging with Washington inside.
So here's Bartley, the BYU transfer, leading the conference in free throw shooting at 86%. He's already 3 for 3 today. And now he's 4 for 4.
Yeah, you don't want him on the line because it's just about automatic at this point, especially in college ball these days. That kind of percentage is huge.
And the Cajun lead is back to 4.
Yeah, Georgia Southern's going to have to play some really tight defense. So far, Louisiana's shooting about 60% because most of their shots have been 5 foot and in.
So Southern not exactly a shooting lineup in here, but David Lee Jones kicks to Ike. He is their one big shooter. The step back, way off the mark. I think he was expecting a foul. There will be a foul on the come down against Monte Glenn, going back the other way.
It's interesting, not fully understanding the system right now. Same kind of call on Glenn inside earlier. Ike didn't get that one.
Bartley steps over Ike. Shot it just a little bit long, and now a second chance for Cedric Russell. Air ball that time. Diving on the floor is Davis. And they'll say that UL keeps possession somehow, and a foul on Southern. Let's take a look at the replay. I missed it.
Yeah, I'd like to see exactly inside. You can see everybody goes up. It looks like undercut a little bit by Sean O'Connell is what they're going to call on that one. It's dicey, but probably did get under him a little bit.
They're saying that's actually against David Lee Jones, and I didn't see that one at all, to be frank.
No. I'd rather see Jones with that foul than O'Connell. We need the height inside if you're a Georgia Southern Eagle fan right now.
So Mike Hughes rechecks in, as does Tukey Brown. So Mark Byington has seen enough of this tall lineup. He says we need shots.
Well, I think he's going to buy as much time as he can on the offensive end with Tukey. So if there's a dead ball, I have a feeling Tukey will come right back out on the defensive if they have to.
This is Davis. 1-1. Rattles off, and O'Connell unafraid to go get the rebound after the foul.
Only other question I have, too, is where's Quan Jackson? He's been sitting for a while now, and he was such a spark at the beginning of this game.
So Tukey has been relatively silent. Only 2 points so far today for Southern. And here's Hughes. He crossed up Russell and didn't take advantage. And now only 5 to shoot, and that'll be a foul against Frank Bartley as he was dribbling toward the scorer's table.
You're going to have to notice the aggressiveness on that one, too. Tukey normally would have driven right to the basket in the middle of those trees. He saw what was in front of him, pulled back because he didn't want to pick up that third offensive foul.
Well, Andrew, you wondered where Quan Jackson was. He just takes Tukey Brown's place.
I apparently have the direct line to Coach Byington, so you guys didn't know that.
Yeah, he's listening. So here is Mike. Hits the front end of the 1-1 for what it's worth. Now 9 team fouls against each team, both of them only 1 away from the double bonus. And we are just halfway through the first half. We're going to see a lot of free throws today. And he's got both.
I'll be interested to see who this actually plays into their hands. Louisiana really not deep. Their starting lineup puts up the majority of their points, about 75% of them. Georgia Southern can go deeper, but they've got to get some shooting out of them.
There goes Russell. They're just running ball screens. 15 on the clock. Stroman feeds right down low to Davis. What a pass.
O'Connell fell down on a cut there or got blocked out on that one and left Davis wide open underneath.
Even though they lost on Thursday, Mike here had a great performance against ULM, 14 points. That will not count. They'll say he charged.
There's no way. That's a terrible call compared to what they just called on the other end. The man was moving on the inside. You can see this. I don't understand the system that they're working on either side right now.
So Southern, 2 big charging fouls going against them. And what could have put this game back within a 1-possession margin is still just 4 points.
Also, Mike Hughes now with 2 fouls, so he's going to the bench. You're looking at really all the scoring that's sitting on that bench right now. Georgia Southern's going to have to find some options on offense.
That could really hurt him. All right, 9 minutes to go in the first half. Southern down 4 here in Statesboro against the #1 team in the Sun Belt Conference, Louisiana Lafayette. Outside to Bartley, and that's why he's their leading scorer at 17 points a game.
Yeah, it was great when Gant was out because they weren't able to do very much. Bartley can take over very quickly, though.
And that was David Lee Jones driving to the basket. He got an arm in there, but that will be against Bryce Washington on the Cajuns.
And as we talked about, the foul trouble mounting up for Georgia Southern. Right now, though, Louisiana, their big guys other than Gant, not in foul trouble.
And that is team foul number 10 against the Cajuns. Guaranteed free throws from here on out. And David Lee Jones has the first.
Southern really needs to cut in this lead while Gant is on the bench because they don't need Bartley to start taking over as they go along.
And he's got both. Southern pretty good from the free throw line so far tonight, 8 for 11 to begin this game.
And there are going to be a lot more free throws, so that's good news for Georgia Southern.
And for what it's worth, Louisiana just 6 for 9. Outside, Marchetti. And the USC transfer shot is way left. Surprising to see he hasn't done so well tonight. 49% free throw shooter. You can usually count on him. But Southern can count on Ike Smith. His second shot from downtown.
11 points already for Ike. He's starting to get back in the flow. He's back and forth. Can't worry about the refereeing. He needs to go back to shooting.
Stroman against Jones. That's a mismatch. He'll stay on him. The junior licking his chops against the freshman. The feed down low, it's Bartley. That one around and off, yanked down by Quan Jackson. And Southern will push a moderate tempo. Quan to the corner, Jones. His second three, and Southern takes the lead back. It's 31-30.
David Lee Jones pushing for more playing time and doing what he needs to in this one to give the Eagles the lead.
A couple of lead changes just in the last 5 minutes. Stroman to the hole. Down low, Washington. He fired it hard off the backboard, but got his own rebound. Southern going for it, hopefully a jump ball. Quan Jackson intercepts it, and now it's David Lee Jones. Ike Smith gets fouled on the way up. He'll get 2 at the line, but that'll all come after a commercial break. Georgia Southern retakes the lead against the #1 team in the Sun Belt Conference. 7:15 to go in the first. This is Byington wanting to go big.
Yeah, Smith can probably swing guard forward, but he's exactly what you need on that. He's more of a forward in this offense the way they're playing it.
Ike Smith hits his first of 2. 15 points already for last year's leading scorer in the Sun Belt Conference.
It really matches up well with what Louisiana has right now. They have the 2 big guys in the game, and the 2 big guys are outside, though, will match up well with Bartley and the rest of them.
So Southern leads by 3 at Andrew. I think we can definitively say this now. 19 against Arkansas State, double digits last game against UL Monroe, and already 16 tonight. Ike is healthy 100% and back.
Which is a different team when he is healthy for Georgia Southern. There's no question they are a better team when Ike Smith is healthy.
That is the first foul against Quan Jackson. In case you're just joining us, both teams already in the double bonus. So this will be 2 here for Frank Bartley.
Yeah, Coach Byington sees that they're getting a little momentum off of this lineup, so he's not going to try to put Tukey Brown back in for some offensive time. It doesn't look like so.
Last year's Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year, rather Sun Belt Conference Newcomer of the Year. Not surprising to see him end up at this school. His dad played football for the Cajuns back in the 70s.
He's got a little bit of that build, too, as you go along.
And Miller gets the offensive rebound, foul on the floor. And a timeout called by Louisiana. Thankfully, that was not a foul going down against Southern.
Now, Miller did that at the end, which has steadily gone down. It was almost 70% when we first set it with about 12 minutes left. Now it's all the way down to 50. Georgia Southern tying it down on the defense.
Speaking of the shooting percentages, 7 minutes to go in the first half. Both teams exactly at 50%. And Miller gets it back after it went off a defender's foot. Stroman against Jones. The feed down low to Bryce Washington. Leads the Sun Belt Conference in rebounding. You can see that he can get up two with a dunk.
You know, Bartley is a great scorer out there. You don't need three guys on him, though, and left Washington wide open for the dunk.
Jackson, the redshirt freshman, playing so unafraid so far, but that rebound there in traffic is why Washington leads the conference in rebounds. Here's Marchetti. And that's a mistake by Justin Miller. That pass is going outside to Bartley. Miller thought it was for him.
Interesting, Marchetti hasn't been the player that you thought coming off of USC. He's a much better player than that. 9 points a game, about 3 rebounds or so walking in. He has not been effective so far. Georgia Southern has done a nice job in tying him down.
Yeah, we just haven't seen Marchetti so much tonight. Been pretty quiet. Jones. The bunny in the lane on top of the 6'6" Washington.
David Lee Jones acting like Tukey Brown, getting in the lane like that.
Stroman goes all the way to the rack, and it's yanked down by O'Connell. And now David Lee Jones will push. Southern by 2. Now Quan Jackson. Can't get the rebound. It's yanked down by Miller, and now they'll go again. Stroman, the South Carolina transfer. Marchetti, the USC transfer for 3.
A lot of contact on one end. Louisiana takes advantage by moving it out. Marchetti drills the 3.
And all of a sudden, Louisiana retakes the lead, 36-35.
You don't want to give Marchetti an open shot, about 48% from three-point land.
Feed down low to Coy Simmons, off his hands, going back. And I'll tell you, Andrew, Coy Simmons does certain things very well for you. He eats up space, he draws fouls, he's a rebounder, but in terms of motor skills down there, not the best on the team.
You're not expecting points out of Coy Simmons. If you are, you could be in a lot of trouble. 2 points a game. When anytime you're averaging more rebounds than points, you know that's generally a bad sign for your offensive game. But a good defender, good solid rebounder, he needs to eat up those minutes right now.
Here's Miller. Got to watch out for him from outside, too. He might be a 6'7" forward, but he can also drop a 3. Inside 10 on the shot clock. That went off the hands of Coy Simmons. So now only 7 coming off the inbound here for the Cajuns.
This is big. It's getting Monte Glenn some time on the bench. Simmons is taking advantage. He's going to body up with Washington for a while.
You mentioned Monte Glenn, Andrew. Not only has he not scored, he hasn't even taken a shot.
No, and the big news here, Gant back in the game. 18:46 is when he went out. It's 1 point lead for Louisiana. It'll be interesting to see what the rest of the half holds.
He might be able to spark their offense. Bartley. Their leading scorer can't go up over the freshman. And here comes David Lee Jones. Goes against the entire defense, and it's swatted away by Jakeem Gant. And not surprising to see him do that right off the bench, Andrew. He does lead the conference in blocks.
Good news, they called the foul on that one, which is interesting. It's a transition foul, so Jones will go to the line. Yeah, Gantz is going to go right back. As soon as they're back off offense, I think they're going to do it like Tukey Brown, try to pull him back and forth, but he'll stay out of the court as Louisiana transfers back into offense here.
David Lee Jones, already 10 points tonight. Not something we're used to seeing. And we got a tie game, 36-36, 5 minutes to play in the half.
Jones been averaging 10 minutes or less for the last 6 games that they've been out there, too, so he's getting a lot of time with Tukey Brown on the bench. This will see perfect timing now to get Tukey back as the second half will start.
Foul on the rebound. This one's going back. 2 at the free throw line now for Louisiana. And that one is against Jones. Rather against Coy Simmons, by mistake. That is his second personal foul. And let's take the second now as Jakeem Gant comes to the free throw line to mention fouls. In case you're just joining us asking, where's Jake Osmiller, where's Tukey Brown? They both got 2 personal fouls each already as Gant hits his first.
Yeah, as did Mike Hughes. So you're looking at 3 main cogs in this offense right now that have been sitting for about 5 minutes. In Tukey Brown's case, close to 10 minutes now. So for Georgia Southern to be this close is actually a huge step for them, considering where they are in foul situations.
All right, that's the first 2 points of the game for Jakeem Gant. The former Effingham County High School star, about a half hour away. Played the first 2 years of his college career at Missouri. Here's B.J. Gladden going to the rack. No foul on the play, and they'll push it up to Bartley. And the BYU transfer with the smooth touch.
Yeah, you can't go one-on-one against this Louisiana team. Gant's inside ready to whack the shot away at any point. Ball movement's going to be the key. That's what got them back in this game and got them the lead.
Bartley's already got 13 points for the Cajuns. And now they got a 4-point lead on Southern. Down low to Monte Glenn. He still hasn't taken a shot yet. They need him to heat up. Fired it hard off the glass. Can't get the offensive rebound. That goes to Gant.
This is where this lineup is a little deficient right now. Other than Ike Smith, a little bit of Quan Jackson, you're not looking at guys who are really offensive threats out there. Georgia Southern's going to have to keep that ball moving and hopefully get some open shots.
Well, this has been a loose last few possessions for Southern. Ike Smith nearly has it stolen away. Now it is stolen away. Up court, and it's intercepted by Quan Jackson. Southern has numbers. Jones over to Ike. He's already got 2 threes. And that one off to the left. And here comes Marcus Stroman. Fed down low to Jakeem Gant. And there goes the star, born in Savannah, out of Springfield.
Only been on the floor for about a minute and a half. Hasn't taken him long. Got 4 points, including the 2 from the free throw line. Nice job anticipation on Quan Jackson before that to try to pick off that pass. Unfortunately, went right back the other way, and Louisiana got the easy bucket.
A 6-0 run now for Louisiana. Southern might need a timeout if they don't score. And that will be a travel, and that will send us to the final media timeout of the first half. And I'll tell you, Southern needs this media timeout. Like we said, a 6-0 run for Louisiana. They're on top of Southern 42-36. There were B.J. Gladden, David Lee Jones, and Monte Glenn. Monte has still not taken a shot yet, Andrew.
No, I mean, he's a great rebounder, usually can put back on those, but he can usually also make some moves on the offensive end and hasn't even tried thus far.
Washington working against Monte. And here's Marchetti. He just hit a 3 and comes up just short of another. And now, Quan Jackson will push. He got off to a hot start, didn't do much the last couple of minutes. But this is his first start in quite a while. Took Jake Alsmiller's spot in the rotation.
Spacing's going to be interesting here.
Smith over a couple of the defenders. That one came up just short. And they had a man up court, but thankfully for Southern, Bryce Washington was not looking.
And you can't really fault Ike Smith for trying to take over this game and this team right now because the guys they have on the court are not true offensive threats to make one-on-one moves.
Stroman around the screen. Down low, Washington. Perfect play off the glass. He'll get 2 at the line. And Ike Smith will get whistled for the foul. Rather against Monte Glenn.
Which means that's 2 fouls on Monte Glenn now. So we got 5 guys with 2 fouls for the Georgia Southern Eagles. And you're down to saying who's going to play inside and who's going to put a body on some of these big guys.
And the big man, Washington, hits his first free throw of the game. He's now 1 for 3 after he missed both on his previous trip.
Interesting, they're going to go a little offensive defensive here. Alsmiller and Tukey Brown coming in the game. Try to get a little spark because I think Coach Byington can see this slipping away a little bit unless he can get a couple buckets.
An 8-0 run for Louisiana. It was 36-36. Now, all of a sudden, it's 44-36. And that is why Byington did put Tukey Brown, their leading scorer, and Jake Alsmiller, their leading three-point shooter, back into the game. They need a hot hand. Who will it be? Might it be Tukey? And he'll dish it off to Quan Jackson. 10 to shoot on the possession. Whistle called. Must have been a push down low. They're saying that's against Johnathan Stove. And that will be his 3rd personal foul. And 2 shots on the line here coming up for Southern.
That's some good news. Interesting what of a difference this makes on offense and defense for Georgia Southern right now. Looking at the offense for Georgia Southern, they've got much more spacing. Louisiana having to work so much harder on the defensive end when you see guys like Alsmiller and Brown out there.
So Jake has not gone to the free throw line yet tonight. This is his first trip. But he did already hit a big 3-pointer. And he misses the front end.
This is the freebies that you have to hit against Louisiana right now, especially with the foul situation that's going on for the Eagles. Got to get these in the hole to get these free points while the clock's not moving, then get that clock moving quick enough to get everybody back in the game when the second half starts.
If you exclude Ike Smith from the statistics at the free throw line so far for Southern, they are just 6 for 11.
It's not what you need. You've got to do everything right to beat a good team like Louisiana. And right now, Georgia Southern not getting the breaks from the referees and not getting the breaks themselves by using them from the free throw line.
90 seconds to play in the first half. Stroman against David Lee Jones. He's been eating the freshman up. And a second chance here for Bartley. Feeds down low to Miller, and he's got it for 2. And all of a sudden, that is 10 points already for him.
And more key, 10-point lead for Louisiana walking into the half. Jakeem Grant played 3 minutes so far in this half.
And now it's a 10-point lead for Louisiana. A 10-0 run. Ike Smith can't end the run. Great rebound by Stroman, the South Carolina transfer. He'll push it up the court outside. This is Cedric Russell. And a three-pointer for the freshman point guard from Louisiana.
Just buying time to the second half right now, hoping you don't go down too far. You need a bucket here to get some confidence walking into the second half.
Quan Jackson able to keep it in bounds. Monte Glenn still has not made a shot. He needs to catch a spark here. And he does. That's his first of the game, ending what was a 13-0 run by the Ragin' Cajuns.
A very big play there here. Now the key is stop them. You feel like you've got some momentum walking into the second half.
So this is Stroman against David Lee Jones. 5 on the clock outside. Marchetti, huge three from the former USC Trojan, and it's a double-digit lead for Louisiana as we head into halftime. 52-38 is the score. And the second half is underway here on WSAV. Good time to come back from break. Greg Talbot and Andrew Davis with you. 52-38 is our score. Thank you to Georgia Southern head football coach Chad Lunsford for joining us at halftime. And Ike Smith pushed a defender off, and that is Frank Bartley to begin the second half, actually. They'll call that foul against Bartley. Number 1 right away against Louisiana. But in case you're just joining us, Andrew, a really bad back half of the first half for Georgia Southern. It was 36-36, and all of a sudden to end the first half, a 16-2 run for Louisiana.
You can overcome some foul trouble, but not this much foul trouble. 2 fouls on 5 different players, including Jake Alsmiller, Tukey Brown, Mike Hughes, all the players that we have out here. So you're looking at serious guys as you're looking at it. Who are the keys to this? Keys to their offense, and that's why they couldn't score. Louisiana took full advantage late in that second half.
All right, so Tukey Brown and the rest of the starting lineup back into this game to begin the second half, but the question is, can they make up what was a 14-point deficit at the break? That one going back the other way against Tukey. They'll say he stepped out of bounds, and that'll be Cajun ball.
And also remember, Jakeem Grant back in the game right now, the Effingham County prospect who came back out now after being on the floor for about 3 minutes in the first half with 2 fouls.
Bryce Washington to the hole. And after a 16-2 run to end the first half, the Cajuns are not slowing down to begin the second.
This is where Georgia Southern needs to pull their pants up, get ready, push forward, because they've got to get some confidence in here and not give up buckets like that, or else it could get ugly real early.
All right, and just like the first half, Quan Jackson in the starting lineup in place of Jake Alsmiller, and he'll get fouled on the way up.
Quan did a very nice job in the first half. It wasn't all about scoring for Quan. He was able to do a lot of defensive things. He was able to move the ball very well as well.
So Quan Jackson coming to the line, and just like the first half, Andrew, early foul trouble for Louisiana. 2 fouls in the first 45 seconds.
But the interesting thing was they really stretched them out as they went along. Both teams ended up in foul trouble by the time it was done, but Louisiana's was not nearly as bad as Georgia Southern's was.
And Quan can't hit the front end.
Free throw troubles, we talked about this earlier. You can't give up these, especially when they give them to you like this.
Pretty good first half all told for Quan Jackson. A big three, ended with 4 points. Bad start to the second, missing both free throws. And a 16-point deficit here against the #1 team in the Sun Belt Conference. Here's Johnathan Gant, the Effingham County High School star. It's rejected by Ike Smith, and now Tukey Brown leading this offense up the court. He got very little actual playing time in the first half. Monte Glens flushes it. That's his second basket of the game.
Big, getting the crowd back involved and getting your team a little excited, too.
That one nearly stolen away by Quan Jackson. Feed down low to Gant. Shot that one from almost behind the basket. Mike Hughes went for the rebound, and they will say that foul is against Malik Marchetti on the Cajuns.
That's good news here. Once again, 3 fouls early. If you can get in there, but you have to hit those free throws is going to be the key. Quan Jackson or whoever else ends up online. Jake Alsmiller quickly back in the game.
So you mentioned there, Jake coming into the game, the #4 3-point shooter in the Sun Belt Conference. They could really use his hot hand. So far tonight, Joe, though, just one shot, unsurprisingly a three.
But, Greg, good news, he hit it, so that's what we like to see.
Compared to the Texas State game 3 games back where he was 0 for 4 from beyond the arc, and they just benched him for the night. Another putback from Monte Glenn. Count that one as an offensive rebound as well. He is still top 5 in the country in offensive rebounds.
That's key. He's got just as many offensive rebounds as defensive rebounds this year, which is huge.
Marchetti, another big three for the former USC Trojan.
You got to wonder where the defense is. These guys love to light it up from three-point range, especially Marchetti, so Georgia Southern needs to watch for that.
Ike pushed him off with his arm and nailed the two.
Both Ike and Tukey do a great job in giving themselves space without causing fouls.
13-point lead. Southern's cut into it. Marchetti couldn't hit all of them. Gant on the come down. They'll call that against Monte Glenn. Pushed off the former Effingham County star. And that is his 3rd personal foul already just here in the opening minutes of the second half. And they'll send him off the bench, replaced by Coy Simmons.
Now, while he doesn't score a lot, it's a huge loss because of the defense he plays inside. He's playing against Gant on the inside and the rebounds he gives them both on the offensive and defensive end.
Now, Coy Simmons, who replaced Mike, really more of a rebounder. Frank Bartley went down the lane. They're going to wave that off and call it against Southern. That is the 3rd personal foul against Jake Alsmiller.
The nightmare scenario for Georgia Southern to lose 2 of their guys early. Glenn and Alsmiller, they need desperately on this court to try to make the comeback. Already, both of them have 3 fouls.
Outside it goes to Frank Bartley. Leading scorer on the team tonight, 13 points. Also leads them in scoring across the season. Gant tried to put it up, no foul on the play. And here comes Tukey against Stroman. He beat 4 defenders, took it to the rack. He gets fouled, and he'll get 2.
Tukey showing that aggressiveness we need, and he needs to get hot and really hot really fast right now. Alsmiller looks like he's going to stay in the game. I mean, they can't afford to keep pulling guys out right now with 3 fouls. If they get to 4, I mean, you've got 5 to use. And right now, Coach Byington has no choice but to leave some of these guys in because he needs the offense.
All right, Tukey at the line. He is 0 for 3 tonight from the free throw line.
Yeah, this is not the scenario that anybody's looking for at that point. 12 for 21 from the line overall. Not what you need to beat a good team like Louisiana.
And believe it or not, because he leads the team in scoring at 18.5 points a game, that is the first point of the game tonight for Tukey Brown.
As we talked about early, as Georgia Southern goes, Tukey goes, and so far, Georgia Southern's not going very far.
That one rejected by Jake Alsmiller as Gant went up. And just like last game on Thursday night against UL Monroe, they are keying on Brown. He only scored 7 on Thursday, and they lost. Tonight they're losing big, and he's only got 1 point. Outside to Hughes. Didn't pull the trigger, goes down the lane. Rebounded by Simmons. Second chance, he'll get one more.
Great job by Simmons there. First of all, Hughes made a really nice play to not force the three-pointer with a man in his face. Simmons did a great job in pulling down the rebound, getting the foul. Here's what we have to remember, Greg. The last time we were here against Arlington, this was a team that was down as many as 10 or 12 and came back strong to Georgia Southern. They have the capability of doing this. Louisiana will start to feel that pressure the closer Georgia Southern gets. It's been such a yo-yo game thus far.
This could make it a 9-point game. And it's back into single digits.
That's a huge point here. Look at the timing, especially 16:43. Every 5-minute segment, you'd like to knock it down by about 5 points just to make sure you're back in this ballgame.
And Hanner Fieldhouse is awake. Marchetti's been red hot, and he's matched up against Sean O'Connell. This is not a good matchup for Southern. Down low, Washington. To the rack, got his own rebound off the hands, and they'll say the Cajuns keep possession.
Another tough call. If Georgia Southern was looking for a break, so far they haven't gotten any on any of these tough bang-bang kind of calls. Certainly looked like Washington knocked it out there too.
Outside Bartley. Smooth touch. Just off the mark, though, on the come-down. Washington had the rebound. And it's a foul against Georgia Southern. They'll say it's against Coy Simmons, but I'll say, Andrew, considering who's on the court, he's the guy you want taking him. Absolutely.
He can go ahead and push 5 fouls out, get Glenn back in the game, get some of these other guys who are going to put some points on the board.
Stroman against O'Connell. Goes down to Washington. Biggest guy on the floor. Stolen away. O'Connell's got his hands on it. Kept it in bounds. And it's a blocking foul against Bryce Washington.
That's good news. That's going to be 3 on Washington, too. O'Connell did a nice job there as well. Great strip by Mike Hughes on the inside. If you're a big guy, you can't pull that ball down low because the little guys will take a whack at it. Washington's had a good game with 12 points so far, too, so he's going to have to sit down for a little bit. This is going to be good news for Georgia Southern.
It is going to be huge for Southern. Here comes Tukey. Nice little floater in the lane. He still has not hit a field goal tonight, but if they can get Washington on the floor, off the floor, that's big because it leads the conference in rebounds, and he leads their team in scoring. Frank Bartley dials up a 3. He's got 16.
The only thing I didn't like on the last possession for Tukey, he was a little bit hesitant to take that shot. He needs to just go ahead and put it up there. He's too good of a scorer otherwise.
That one not rejected by Washington. Tukey just missed it left.
Yeah.
Marchetti. He's already hit 3 3-pointers. That one punched out of bounds by Sean O'Connell, and that'll send us into immediate timeout. All right, it's a little bit better than it was at halftime, but a late couple of points by Louisiana has this back at us for halftime. Southern did have this back down to a single-digit game. It was down to 9 points, but a big 3 from Louisiana on their last possession made it 12 once again. And Bryce Washington, you see him there at the top of the key, 3 personal fouls. He is still on the floor.
You have to wonder, too, if Glenn was in the game, he might not be, but Simmons not really an offensive threat, so he's not going to be as worried on the defensive end.
And that's why they didn't take Washington off the floor. His second big jam in the second half.
It's tough. It's a high percentage shot when you get that close to the bucket.
Back to a 14-point game, a 5-0 run for Louisiana. Here's Hughes. Great move to the lane. Can't get the roll in. Washington there for the board.
Right now, better ball movement, at least for Georgia Southern on that possession. Really close to getting that bucket.
Not again. Won't get it that time, but he will get his own rebound, unsurprising.
Simmons was going to let it trickle out of bounds. Washington wasn't going to let it go that far.
Southern might need another timeout. Stroman working against Hughes. Stroman has not scored yet tonight. He's really in there as more of a defender. He's got 37 steals on the year. He's more of a distributor and a defensive player. And he lobs it up for Johnathan Gant. The former Effingham County High School star jams it home and forces Southern to burn a timeout.
This is where you really miss Monte Glenn inside.
Because a loss or a deficit is never on one player. That's one of the realities of basketball. But as Tukey Brown brings up court here for Georgia Southern, he was held to 7 points against Monroe on Thursday. Has been held to just 1 point so far tonight. When you're the team's leading scorer at almost 19 points a game, you got to be in double digits against the best team in the league.
Now, he only got about 4 minutes in the first half, but he's played the entire second half and hasn't put in a bucket yet, which is a real problem. If you're looking at a team that's only got 2 people in double figures and one of them's not Tukey Brown for the Eagles, that means that's a recipe for disaster.
Ike Smith missed that last shot, and after a hot start to the game with 7 points, he's been pretty quiet since. But he's the leading scorer in the game for Southern, period. Has got 18 points, most of those coming in the first half. Feed down low to Miller, intercepted by B.J. Gladden. He's been pretty quiet so far tonight, too. looking to get to the rack. And again, he missed the shot. BJ is.
The worst part of this is really in spurts, the Georgia Southern defense has been so good, and Louisiana has not been great, but the offense for the Eagles has been relatively stagnant the entire game.
Here's Gant against O'Connell. Outside to Stove. Had a hot stretch there of about 5 minutes in the first half. He has 10 points total. Marchetti crossed himself up, but Bartley puts up the shot. Oh my, and that's a three against Tukey Brown. 67-48. It's a 19-point lead for the top-ranked Cajuns.
Yeah, you know it's not necessarily your day when shots like that go in for Bartley on the other side, but still time left. You got to cut this down fast, though.
Brown. Most games that goes, but not tonight. Stroman against Ike. Can't get it, but the follow from Johnathan Gant, the former Effingham County high school star. And it's more than a 20-point lead for Louisiana. Ike Smith gets it to go. And Southern is going to burn a timeout. And can you blame them?
They need whatever they can do. At this point, burn all the timeout. Want to be the star. These are the games you've got to step up in.
And to be transparent, as Louisiana inbounds the ball here, all week leading up to this game, Andrew, you and I had been talking. We didn't know what to make of this game. Because Southern, if you look at the roster, they've got the same kind of size as this Louisiana team. They've got the same kind of roster makeup as Tukey brings it up the floor. Here goes Ike to the rack, gets fouled, he'll get two. But the question was Southern going to win this game as a buzzer beater, or was it going to be a blowout? It seemed like it was going to be one of those two, and unless something happens here in the next 5 or so minutes. We are back live on WSAV. All you missed was Ike Smith hitting his first of 2 free throws at the line here. There was a question in terms of scoring. They'd taken some points away from Southern. The correct score, meanwhile, now with Ike at the line, 68-51.
Right now, you don't need to take any points away from Southern. They need everyone they can get. I'm glad they got that straight for everybody. Ike did a nice job by hitting his first free throw, which he's done all day.
And Ike hits his second. Man, Andrew, is he back? 22 points.
Is exactly the kind of performance you needed to play against this Louisiana team, but he needs his partner in crime. He needs Tukey come through, or he needs Hughes, somebody to play out of their mind in the second half and hit as many as they can to give him some help.
Last year, almost every big game Southern won was because Ike and Tukey went off together. With Ike gone and rehabbing and working his way back so much of this year, Andrew, is there something to be said for the idea that they just haven't played together at full health in a while?
Absolutely. I think, Ike was the leader last year, and Tukey took second string, and still played well at times. And like you said, they played well off each other. Tukey took over for so much. Now he's trying to figure out what his role is as Ike steps back and starts to play leader again and take control of the ball. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays back again to go, I'm willing to be second guy as Ike continues to play well.
Here's Bartley. Up and under, no good. Ball loose under the basket. And they'll keep it with Louisiana, I believe. And it is. Mike Hughes coming back off the bench for Georgia Southern. Just 2 points. And those were from the free throw line. He has not made a field goal yet tonight.
Yeah, the body language not real good right now. Georgia Southern needs as much energy as they can get it from somebody out on this court.
A bucket here would make it a 20-point lead. And there it is, 20 points on top for the Cajuns.
I'm a little interested. Quan Jackson's been sitting as long as he had. He had some of that energy that they were looking for. I think Coach wasn't happy with 1 or 2 of the plays he did. But at this point, you got to try to find a spark from someplace if you're trying to get back in this game.
Here's Tukey. Almost any other game this season, Andrew, he stops, pops, and shoots a 3 on that possession.
I was just thinking the same thing. Rise and fire when he had a little bit of angle on that one and didn't take it. Instead, he dished it off immediately. He's not feeling it right now. He didn't get into the rhythm of the game while he was sitting on the bench, and he's never picked it back up since he's been out here.
Southern gets the ball as that one flies free from the hands of Frank Bartley. So if it's going to happen, it's going to happen now. 20 points down. As B.J. Gladden goes to the bench, and onto the floor comes Jake Alsmiller, the number 4 3-point shooter in the conference.
1 bucket at a time is what you get. Get a 2, get a 3, whittle down this lead and go in segments, 2-minute segments, 3-minute segments, and you do have a shot in this. This game is far from over.
Tukey. And that's the kind of shot that usually goes in for him, even over a tall guy like Bryce Washington. And he'll face up against Washington again. They're looking for a mismatch. The point guard against the 6'6" forward. Outside to Mike. He still has not made a bucket tonight. And he is still ice cold. And another chance for Southern on the offensive possession. David Lee Jones. And that possession exemplifies what the second half has been.
It's been all miss shot after miss shot after miss shot. On the other end, Louisiana can't get any closer with their buckets. It's all been 5 foot and in. If not, it's been the three from some of these guys out here like Bartley who can shoot the three all day.
And the numbers will show this. So far tonight, Louisiana 51% from the field. Georgia Southern 35. 51-35. Stroman feeds down low to Washington. Foul on the play. They'll call it against Washington. They say he pushed Southern around, and that is his 4th personal foul. That might be a break they get.
It's about the only break we've seen over there on that one thus far. You give me a team that's going to shoot 50% in the game, I'll guarantee you a win every time, and that's no question what Georgia Southern's defense has given them so far.
All right, we are inside the 10-minute mark. If a comeback's going to happen, it's going to happen now. And Tukey needs to wake up, and he does. 4 points so far tonight for the junior point guard from Madison.
Sometimes simple. Something simple like a layup can get you back into the game because you can finally see the ball going in the hole, and that's huge.
Johnathan Stove passes it off to Miller. He's a big guy, but he can also shoot a three. Got to be careful on the outside. Stove down the lane and erases that Tukey bucket. It's back to 20 points.
There's a lot of attention to Gant inside, which is opening things up for the guards on the outside, too, because you're afraid of it, and they just don't have the size to match up with him.
Tukey rejected by Gant. Unsurprising to see it, and actually they'll call that one a foul.
That's what Tukey's done all year, is willing to drive in the trees there. Gant got enough body on him to get that call, which is the good news. That's 3 on Gant, which they need. It may be too little too late, though, with 8:48 left.
So Tukey at the line for Southern. Four points.
You know, we talked about it early on. How would Louisiana come back from their loss? How would Georgia Southern come back from their loss? ULM really playing well right now, so you'd think Georgia Southern would take something out of that. But Louisiana, on the other hand, are the ones they're coming back and saying, well, we lost to a Georgia State team, which we think could be the second or third best team in this league, and we're not ashamed of that.
Down low to Stove. Outside Bartley. That BYU touch.
Yeah, Bartley is proving why he is their leading scorer and so good right now, too. He does a little bit of everything for him.
Outside, Tukey has a shot. His first 3 of the night. The question is it too late? Probably.
8 minutes left. I don't think it's too late yet, but we have a long way to go to get there, and they got to narrow this down to probably 10 by 5 minutes. If they get 10, 5 minutes, I think they've got a shot.
Bartley can't hit them all on the rebound. David Lee Jones went for it. That's going back Southern's way.
That's the good news. Now you get a possession. Get a bucket on here. Get it down into that 15 mark, which is exactly where you need by the 8-minute mark. Then you look to 6 and 5. It's short segments is what you're looking for Georgia Southern right now to get points.
Win the possession. Tukey outside to Jones. That's the kind of shot they need to start falling if they're going to do this. Inside 8 to play.
That was a big play. Jones really had a shot at that one to make that a big play for them.
Miller fouled by Mike Hughes, and that'll send us to immediate timeout. 7:40 to play, and Georgia Southern missing all their shots down the stretch. We'll see if they can get a couple of game means for Georgia Southern, not just in terms of how they play in the Sun Belt Conference as Justin Miller comes to the line. Misses his first of 2. My question, Andrew, is if they lose this game, which is looking more and more likely, that'll be their 3rd straight loss in league play. They lost to Arkansas State on the road, and last Thursday, ULM at home. This would be their 3rd straight loss. Next Friday is at home ESPN2 is coming to town, but they're playing Georgia State, who just beat this Louisiana team on Thursday.
The only good news you have to look at right now is Louisiana Monroe has suddenly gotten hot. Today, we just learned that they beat Georgia State, so they won 2 in a row against 2 very good teams, including Georgia Southern. Now, so you hope that that means they are a better team than what that is, so you take a little something away. This is by far the best team in the league. Georgia State may have beat them the other day, but I believe this is by far the best team in the league. So take that in there. Good news is you've got 6 games left. You're looking at Arlington, who you did beat already. You're looking at Texas State, who you have to beat. You're looking at South Alabama team, who should be beaten, and a Troy team for Senior Day right here at home in Hanner that you should take advantage of.
Here's the thing about that Texas State game. They'll go on the road, though, to play them. Let's not forget, that was their first home loss of the season, and they were the ones that held Southern, I believe, to not a single three-pointer made. Was that the stat?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
So you're looking at that.
No, it was 2 for 21.
2 for 21.
But effectively held them scoreless from the three-point line.
Right, which means you make the adjustments there. You hope that was just an aberration. Right now, though, this team is not playing well, but you can make a run. You can make a 5-game run or even a 3 or 4-game run at the end here. Get yourself ready for the tournament. The best news about college basketball is you're looking at a situation where you win the tournament, you can go in. This Louisiana team is very good. The Georgia State team is very good. They are both beatable, though. Georgia Southern can show that as we go there. Tukey Brown can do it all. But Georgia Southern can show that next Friday against Georgia State. They can show that the rest of the season and start to get some movement back in. Ike Smith's breakout today and the last 2 games is the best news for the Eagles.
The unfortunate thing about that shot from Tukey, the only thing unfortunate is that it came about 8 minutes too late.
Yeah, probably true. But confidence builds confidence out there, especially with the way he's played lately. Every shot that goes in gets him ready for the next game. Every shot that he takes that goes in makes him feel like he's the Tukey Brown of 3 weeks ago.
And all of a sudden, believe it or not, because he had just recently been down at the 0-1-2 scoring mark, Tukey's got 12 points. That came almost out of nowhere.
Quiet 12,
yeah,
but still 12. That's what I'm saying. It's the best news out there as you look at it to go, Tukey can get back in rhythm, which is what you want.
Stroman went to the basket. Tukey shoved them. That'll be against Brown.
So a frustration foul there. Tukey didn't like the pass that he made in. It got tipped away when he was trying to get in there. That's only 3. You have to wonder at some point with the way that game was going in the first half, do you take the chance with Tukey and leave him in the game at some point? Or do you put him back in the game?
Because he didn't get hot when he came back in.
But maybe on the court longer,
yeah,
saying play tight, play close to the vest. If you get your 3rd foul, then we will sit you for a while. But this is a team you have to play above your heads to beat, even at home.
Referees over at the scorer's table going over I'm not sure what. And the inbound here for Bartley. And Stroman running the offense. He's taken hold of this offense so often, but still has not scored. Great distributor, though, already 8 assists.
Yeah, he's doing exactly what he needs to. He doesn't need to put the ball in the basket. He's got enough guys to do that. I think you walk into this game, too, and saying Johnathan Grant has 8 points. Great news. I told, walking in this game, I said if he had less than 15 or 16, Georgia Southern had a heck of a chance to win. Unfortunately, it turns out that everybody else played over their heads to get to this point.
So that's now 14 points on the day for Tukey. And he'll get one more at the line.
You almost hate this because you're wasting a great performance from Mike Smith and a bettering performance every step of the way by Tukey Brown. But I like it for next time. I like what he's going into saying, I'm ready to play the next game. I'm not going to let this get me down.
If you're Mark Byington, are you a little bit worried about next Friday night against Georgia State, not only because they're the second best team in the league, but also because of what 4 consecutive losses to this emotional team could it possibly do to them down the stretch?
Absolutely, you are worried. There's no question you have to be if you drop this many games in a row like that, and especially playing as poorly as you did today. The best news for him, though, he's got 6 days to get ready for that game. That's not till next Friday. He's got 6 full days to get ready to play that, so he doesn't have to play anybody else. He doesn't have to shorten it. Instead, he can work them hard in practice, get them ready for that, and say, focus for me for 6 days. Get ready for this game. Let's wipe out exactly what happened here. We're ready for the next one.
Quan Jackson dials one up. Nearly to 70 points.
This is what we saw midway through the first half as well. They got hot. This used to be your dominating place. Go show it to me against Georgia State, especially with national TV getting in here.
There had better not be a single open spot in here on Hanover Fieldhouse on Friday, I'll tell you, man. Eagle Nation, please come out for that game. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, and be loud. Be really loud for everything that's going on. We got to make this. This is a gym, when you look at the Butlers of the area, the Gonzagas, those kind of people, as you look at it, they have great home court advantages. It's been tough for this team to really get enthused, but these are college kids. They thrive on that kind of energy, especially if a fan starts to get excited.
And the thing about Hanover Fieldhouse, it's a smaller venue. It's packed in. It's tight. It's loud. It's old school. As Stove drives, gets the foul, and one coming up. When Southern plays up and down basketball, they hit threes. There is no louder environment in the Sun Belt Conference. They need a full gym for that game, and they need a win. Or else, because like you said, because Texas State owns the tiebreaker, there's a possibility that after spending so much of the season near the top of the conference, by the time of the end of the regular season rolls around, that might be in fifth.
Mm-hmm. And then you end up playing Texas State and then have to play a Louisiana or someone who will be rested by the time you go back and play them.
And Johnathan Gant comes back in. Born in Savannah from Springfield. And Stove hits the back end.
Yeah, Gant, the 4th leading scorer on this team tonight. Normally, the 2nd leading scorer, one of the best guys in the conference, hasn't even had to do it. Sat most of the first half with foul trouble. Second half, he hasn't been needed as much. Everybody else has come through for Louisiana.
Tuca couldn't get space around the screen. Steps back for space, and he'll get one more. Man, it's a shame this is almost a 20-point game still.
It really is, because he has played lights out in the second half. This is where, if you're coach, you go, hey, remember this second half. You wipe out so many of these plays that you've seen on the other side and go, we're going to focus on these offensive sets right now. Show me what you did, Tukey. You can be this guy again.
The more he's hitting these shots, Andrew, you have to wonder, like you said, is that'll send us to our media. Nope, not immediate timeout. We'll see what they exactly say. That'll be a foul. Oh, it's a foul on the inbound play, and Louisiana will get 2 more shots at the line.
And it's going to be on Tukey. Another semi-frustration.
They have gotten every break tonight.
They really have. There's been not one that's turned the other way for Georgia Southern, and it's tough. This is a team you need a break to beat somewhere because they are that good. Look at your NCAA tournament brackets, everybody, because Louisiana gets in, they'd be a team to look at to make one of those upsets that you're looking at.
If they're a 12 or 13, I could absolutely see them beating a weaker Big Ten team, 100%.
And right now, with their record, they have a shot to get in even as an at-large the way they're playing, especially if they continue on the way this is.
Stroman 1-1. Gant the rebound. Saved it, tipped out of bounds by Hughes. And it'll stay with the Cajuns.
Gant is such a good leaper, but certainly kind of looked that he went over the back to get to that one. But right now they are getting the breaks, and they're just working hard to keep this lead. Every time they've been breaking into it, it's 14. It feels like it's 5 is the problem, but it is 14.
Miller back in this game. Gant against Hughes. Collects his own loose ball. And they're starting to pick up the tempo against Southern still. They want to put the dagger in. There's Bartley to the rack. Put back. Good from Stove.
Georgia Southern has to sort of gamble a little bit on this case, and they gambled to try to make a steal and just didn't block out on the outside. And the guard ends up making the play in Stove, who's played extremely well for them today. He's been nothing but solid for the last 5 games, and this has been the best of the bunch.
Tukey. Where was that in the first half?
Well, it was sitting on the bench.
It was on the bench,
of
just
first
the answer.
half.
Yeah, fouls, yeah.
But where was it for the first 8 minutes of the second half?
Symbolically.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. The 8 minutes in the second half, you could have used that too. So.
Tukey's got over 20 points, so he's going to finish with a 20 bomb tonight. Ike Smith has 22. But unfortunately for them, just too little too late. And the defense has allowed Louisiana to shoot 53% from the field today. And there's the putback from Stove. Not exactly surprising, Andrew, because entering this game, Louisiana led the Sun Belt Conference in pretty much every offensive category, including field goal percentage.
Well, this is also one where Coach Byington has gone ahead and pulled out all his big guys. So he's looking to just try to move as fast as he can, make a gamble and a play.
Final timeout of the game, 91-77. Home stretch. A great second-half performance from Tukey Brown. Mark Byington's team kind of gave it away on defense. Andrew, you and I were just talking. Louisiana now shooting 52% from the field. Georgia Southern right now back to 43, but most of the game they were down in the 30s.
Absolutely. I mean, Louisiana has had too many easy baskets over and over and over to get. Just like this one again, Stove right up the middle. He's got 25 points in this game. He hasn't had 25. You know, he's had double digits for 3 games. The rest of the season, I think he had about 25 the way they played.
Tukey outside to Jackson. And those shots have just been falling in the second half. And another big stat for you as we head down the home stretch. Georgia Southern's three-point percentage is better than their entire team's shooting percentage. Gantz can't flush. Rejected by B.J. Gladden.
If I was Coach Byington, you may have to look at this a little bit. He went small. Now, obviously, the game was somewhat out of reach at this point, but the small lineup has gotten a lot more spacing, has gotten some open shots for Jackson, some open shots for Brown, and really moved the ball well. Maybe you go with Glenn and Alsmiller to full strength. If Tukey's back to full strength, you've got this capability.
So B.J. Gladden, 2 shots at the line. He's only a 37% free throw shooter this year. Now slightly better.
I believe he's 6 for 12 going in, so or it's, something in that range. But it rolls in. You always like that as a player to see one go in, especially if you're not especially good at free throw shooting. He's actually got a nice stroke. I don't know why he's only 30%.
I think if it doesn't catch the right angle, it goes clanking off. Foul in the backcourt against David Lee Jones. That is his third personal.
Coach not giving up yet. 11 points with 2:14. Put him to the line. Hope to get some misses out of this one by the time they're done, and hope that, you can hit a couple more shots.
And this is Marcus Stroman at the line. He does not have any points tonight despite the 8 assists. This could be number 1. And it might end it with 0.
But the good news is 1-1. They get the ball back. 2 minutes left. There's still hope out here.
Brown. All the way up and under. 25 points. It's a shame he didn't get to play much in the first half because of the foul trouble. And Mike Hughes will foul in the backcourt. Southern apparently thinks the math is still possibly in their favor. It's a 9-point game. We're going to play the free throw game here for the final 2 minutes.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of line time here for everybody. Washington's a guy you don't mind fouling out there, too. He's only about 64% from the line.
10-point game.
But for every one, if you can get 2 or 3, there's still enough time to play that game.
It's 11. So Southern's three-point shooting lineup is in. There's Mike Hughes, Jake Alsmiller, Ike Smith, Tukey Brown, and Quan Jackson. That is 5 pure shooters, not a single forward. So you need 3s or quick 2s. Here could be a 3 from Jackson. Off the mark, yanked down by Stove. Stove. That
one may have been the death knell on that one, because if he had hit that, then you still have a good shot. Now it's 11. And I think coaches even called off the dogs now. They're not even going to foul. I think they know this one's probably over.
Byington screaming to his players, don't foul. Bartley around and off. Rebound to Smith. Goes behind the back. Ball loose. And that's going to do it. Byington's telling his guys not to foul. And the rebound goes to Washington. And they'll slow it down, start to wind this clock. Minute 10 to play. They're calling off the Dogs. That foul against Tukey Brown.
13 boards for Washington, 18 points. He's had a really nice game inside when you think that he's not number one option by any means. I'm also looking at the stats here, Greg. 50 rebounds for Louisiana, only 26 for Georgia Southern. So that's going to make the game right there.
They double up Georgia Southern on the boards.
On the boards.
I hadn't even noticed that one. Wow.
Doesn't happen either.
Well, especially when you have one of the top 5 offensive rebounders in the country on your team in Monte Glenn.
And Glenn sat for most of the second half. You don't know if that's just precautionary or deciding that they didn't need him or we're going to go small the whole time. Hasn't been in there. You know, Glenn really hasn't done a lot for him. Only 19 minutes and only 7 rebounds. I mean, 7 for him is a low number.
And Malik Marquetti might have just finished this one off. They had it back down to a 9-point game. All of a sudden, it's back up to 13. And we are inside the 1-minute mark. So that'll pretty much do it. As Tukey Brown goes down the lane. So Andrew, 6 days to recover. Got him for a travel Southern ball. You got 6 days to get ready for Georgia State. If you're Mark Byington, did tonight's game, understanding that you're playing the best team in the league, change anything?
I think it changed your outlook and go, we're going to have to find lineups that work, matchups that work, whatever we need to do. That's why he switched Alsmiller out, because he had been cold, to give him that shock to the system. Quan Jackson did a very nice job when he was on the court, playing all forms of offense and defense. Now, you know, I would like to see more of him as you play on there to get more time because he switches things off. Do you need to move somebody else out of that front starting lineup and switch it to maybe go big if you need to? I'm not sure. I think you have to look at this game and go, we just played the best team in the league. We're going to live to fight another day. That next fight is Friday night against Georgia State.
And although you'll get a chance to watch it on ESPN2, I really hope you'll come out and try to pack hammer that one. That should be a sold-out game on national TV.
That's got to be, because this team needs your support right now more than ever. They've got to be down. They've got to feel like they're not doing as well as they could, you know, and they're dropping them at home, which they never usually do. Byington is excellent at home. The team is excellent at home on a regular basis.
Yeah, the fact that they now will have lost 3 home games in the last month or so, unprecedented in the last 2 years.
Yeah, 19-5 going into this game in their last 24 in Hanner Fieldhouse, and they've dropped 3 in a row to make that number even worse as you go along now. So not good for anybody. So they've got to find some sort of magic out there. But really, I think the magic is just playing good, solid, fundamental basketball, making sure Tukey gets hot, Ike gets hot, and using your peripheral players and telling them play good, tight defense as much as possible.
Washington calls a timeout on the inbound. And I got to tell you, when you're talking, Andrew, about the way Southern needs to play to win that game, almost universally, for the last year and a half coming up on 2 years, Southern has been far and away most successful.
One moves from guys like B.J. Gladden and even Ike Smith. Some of them worked, some of them didn't. But you're right. Move the ball around, keep it moving, get an open shot. Open shots are much easier to hit.
Of course, to Marquetti. Foul on the way down by Mike Hughes.
Going down fighting, which is good. You always like that. I mean, 9 points, 42 seconds. Yeah, the chances are not strong that you're going to do this. But I think he's trying to send a message to these guys, too, saying we're going to be in every game and we're going to fight to the last possible second because we can't give up anymore.
And for what it's worth, as Malik Marquetti comes to the line here to try to make it a 10-point game, we had a pretty good run, Andrew. Entering this game, Georgia Southern on WSAV was 5-0 in the last 2 years.
Yeah, we were feeling pretty good about ourselves walking into this one.
I didn't want to mention it off the top of the broadcast in case it was going to be a jinx, but turns out I didn't need to.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Odd feeling.
It is. We haven't.
They don't
felt
usually
this.
lose here.
Not here. Not with
not
this
on
crowd.
Saturdays.
No, and I mean, there's a lot of sad faces in this crowd who believed, especially, you know, pinking out. We're trying to get excited about this team, and really, this is a tough day, and especially losing as badly as they are by the time they're done. You know, moments of excitement, but really just a bad 25 minutes, 30 minutes that they've had to deal with here.
Ike. Got it. Down to 8. Oh, no. Here comes Stove. There's the exclamation point. Nope. Waved off. No shot. He'll get to the line fell before he went up.
So you're going to have Tukey, who's going to have 29, and Ike's going to have 25 so far. Once again, you look at that and go, and Johnathan Grant's going to have 8 points. If you walk...
Regardless, it will be 2 shots at the line for Johnathan Hot Stove.
He's been great today. It's been 10 of 14, crazy.
And now 26 points.
Eagle fans, don't give up on this team. This team is too talented to have a game like this ruin them. They have a lot more in them. This is all going to come down to the tournament for them.
And for what it's worth, despite how good Louisiana has been this year, entering this game 20-4 overall, as Alsmiller dials up a 3, goes off the mark. The Sun Belt Conference is historically, and probably still this coming year, a one-bid league. The regular season only matters in terms of seeding for the conference tournament and how many bye games you get. Because regardless, unless the committee makes an exception for Louisiana, which I don't see them doing, whoever wins the tournament in New Orleans is the only team that gets into March Madness.
Yeah, I don't think there are enough good teams in this league that Louisiana can sneak an at-large bid in. Even if they won out and maybe went 30-4, still a tough one for them to potentially get an at-large if they lose in the tournament. It's one bid. It's going to come down to that. But I think the key is to get in that top 4 because it's too hard for most teams to play 4 games in 4 days in a tournament and beat teams like Georgia State and Louisiana, who you probably have to beat them both to go on in this tournament.
Stove gets his first. Well, Louisiana cracks the 100 bomb. Didn't think we'd see that tonight, even though the Cajuns are the top offensive team in the conference. 102 is what this will likely end at. Jones. Up and under, no good. Rebound to Miller. And they might just dribble this one out.
Sort of fitting that it ends with a rebound for Louisiana, the way things have gone all day. So they will just about double them up in rebounds and end this on a bad note for Eagle fans.
And we'll talk about it all on the post-game show. The final score tonight, the top-ranked Louisiana Raging Cajuns, number 1 in the Sun Belt Conference, bounce back from their only league loss on Thursday against Georgia State. They recover with a double-digit win over Georgia.